Hey, welcome back to the channel. Make sure you subscribe to the channel and go ahead and give it a like. Comment down below. Let me know where you guys are from, who you rocking with. Let's get right into it, man. So look, Lil Boosie, there's no way he could go to the dice game with somebody he doesn't know. He tried to say at first that he didn't know Duke until the dice game. Well, you can't go to a dice game with someone you don't know, because how is he gonna? He had to have been invited to it. How would he have randomly found out about the dice game? It wasn't like it was some random person's dice game and that Duke and Boosie and Jay Prince all just randomly, conveniently showed up at the same time. No, this was a planned dice game where it was basically they already knew who was coming. They already knew each other, but that's why it's weird, because Boosie and Duke knew each other since 2016. So how could he just say he just now met him? And it's like he went to the dice game and Boosie was the host. So it doesn't make any sense. He had to have sent the invite over ahead of time. So that means he had to have known who Duke is, man. And so that's why a lot of people are saying, did Boosie buy the dice game for $600K? Because it looked like there was somebody who was going to win or lose no matter what at the end of the day. And so it was almost like a heat check just to see if who comes to the dice game and who shows out their loot, who brings out their jewelry, and who brings out the money. And so it was really like a bait. And they baited the Duke to bring everything with him. And so they were thinking that, oh, since he was at the dinner and was able to pay the check and pulled out the money, that's how they knew to invite him to the dice game. And so it was already known by everybody that Duke was going to be there. So it's not like this is the first time they all met Duke. Like Plies, Jay Prince, and all of them, they know who Duke is. They have chains. Like, they know that Duke sells chains and everything like that. So not only that, but it's like, how did he get to the dice game, but the concert was where everything happened? If you really think about it, it seems like the dice game would be the most dangerous one rather than the concert. The concert has security. They got the footage. The footage of the concert still needs to be released, like everything that happened in that parking garage. You have to realize that footage could have been bought. It's by a third party. Usually it's a security company that has those types of footages. Like, you got ADT, you got Ring, all them type of companies. They're the ones who really got the footage of what happened to Duke, and somebody could have bought that footage for like $300K. And you know that people were already trying to come up with money on Boosie's side, so you don't know if any of it could have went to buying the footage or to get it so it's secured that nobody else has it and leaks it. And so I think that you got to realize the footage isn't going to be released for a while, because it's going to show everything, including how he was denied entry into the safe side of the parking lot. And it's going to show how everybody was leaving, how Boosie was leaving. It's going to show Boosie on his phone and standing in the parking garage while Duke walks down to his car, and the footage is going to have everything on it, basically. And so that's why I think that they scared for that footage to drop, and that's why they had to buy it. And it makes sense, because if we haven't seen it yet, that means they probably working with the third party right now to get the footage tied up into something. Because normally when anything happens, they'll already show you the footage on TV. Like, we seen the PNB Rock footage. We seen all these different rappers have these footage, but not the Duke the Jeweler one. And so that's strange. It's just like the Young Dolph. Like, they never showed that footage. So will they show the Duke the Jeweler like footage? Will they release it, or did somebody already buy it? Did Boosie buy it? Those are all the questions that people are asking right now. So let me know what you guys think too. Acting around him, and by the way, that the whole team wasn't letting him come with their security, it was a clue to the Wolves that he's really not with them. And so if Boosie don't want Duke to be protected by his security, then he might not care as much as we thought about Duke. And so that just let the Wolves know that it's a green-lighted person, because Boosie not even messing with them. Like, yeah, he's around them. He's letting him pay for the meal at the dinner table. But then again, he's not protecting him with the security on their way out. He's making him walk to his own car far away in the parking lot. And so those are the things that start to make the people wonder, like, what's really going on here? Because it's like, how could you take the man's money, but then, he's being generous, but then you turn around and it's every man for themselves outside, even though he's your guest and it's your city. Like, y'all got to understand that from wherever they went, from Baton Rouge, driving all the way down to Houston, everybody with the whole entourage came with them. And so it's like, hey, if Jay Prince was with them and his Boosie and Plies and everybody like that, Duke the jeweler should have been the fourth VIP member. And that's why it's like they should have had been, moving all together like that. But they singled it and separated him out because they basically didn't want him to be bigger than him. Like Boosie and them and all of them, they don't want to see people be bigger than them. They want to be the only rich guy. And so that's why there's a lot of greed, jealousy that plays a part in all of these things, man. Everything could be cool 1 minute with Duke and Boosie, and then next thing you know, it's like everything crumbled down and people start acting like, oh, they don't even know him and this and that. And so that's what's rubbing a lot of people the wrong way, because they've been saying that Duke and Boosie knew each other and that Boosie's been following Duke since 2016. So if you really add up all those years, that's 6 years. So Boosie known this man for 6 whole years and knew him enough to invite him to a whole concert, restaurant, dice game, everything, right? But then after he gets hit up and, a couple of days later, once the news breaks out and everything, he's talking about, we just met him last night, the night before. So it just don't make no sense. And he's trying to basically sway off of what the real situation is that he actually knew the man for years. And so if you know somebody for 6 years, you can't just turn around and act like you never met them before. Maybe you could do that with somebody you just knew for a couple months, because it wasn't long enough to actually have a solid, a solid connection like that. But then if you know somebody for 6 whole entire years, I'm talking like over half a decade, almost a whole decade. And it's like, everything about them, their mamas and the people and all of their business, right? And then you invite them out, and then next thing you know, when they ask you about the person, you act like you don't even know him and that he just met him the night before. So that's the thing that's weird, because it's all over social media where you could see, retweets. You could see stuff from Boosie and Duke way back in the day. Like somebody already found out that Boosie actually was following Duke since 2016. And so with that, then it's like, where did the mill come from? Like, where did he, they wanted to get his jewelry money, basically, because Boosie probably has some debt to be paid off with. Either he had debt to pay because of something him and Duke got into, or maybe after Duke got hit up, they found out Boosie could have allegedly been connected, and they told him that he need to up the mill to keep everything from going overboard. So if you look at it, it could be ransom money. It could be something from some other situation that they got themselves into. Either way, it's very weird for Boosie to be selling all of his cars when he's supposed to have all his money already. And so that's the thing. It's like, he just bought and did all that work to that mansion, the Boosie Estates. And so you telling me that he didn't have any more bread left over, that he had to sell his cars and all of his whole collection? Because that's strange, man. Because who liquidates everything that fast? The only person who sells stuff, all their stuff that fast, is if they know they about to go somewhere and sit down for a time, or if they're moving, or if they literally are downsizing their entire life. Like maybe they had a bunch of kids with them in their house. Like they had a house full of kids and now the kids grew up and moved to college. Okay, yeah, then those people are going to sell everything and downsize to a smaller place, right? But in Boosie's case, it's the opposite. It's the fact that he's got a lot of people around him and all this stuff. So it's like, it really seems like he could use all those cars. He could have all of his posse driving them cars like they Ubers or rental cars and rent them on Turo. And literally they could make 25K a day. They could make 20K a day doing that with how exotic cars he has. They could do photo shoots for music videos. He could have ran up a mill, but it wouldn't have been 48 hours, but it could have been like, give him 2 weeks or something like that, right? And so he could have ran up the mill the smart way. Like, he could have literally bought an investment property, Airbnb'd it out, and got his money back, and just made it to where he's not just selling everything at once. Like, he could have used what he already got to generate more money. Like, he could have used all of his assets that he already owned to basically make him a passive income monthly. And that could have went and paid for whatever he needed in installments. But see, it wasn't no business transaction. They didn't allow him to make it in payments. They told him that he has to get $1 million in 48 hours. So it was something serious. And so that's why a lot of people are looking at him and they're like, I don't know about this guy. It seems a little bit fishy. And it's still a lot of condolences to go out to Duke and his whole family, man. So let that be recognized, and make sure you stay tuned to the channel because there's going to be a lot more updates coming up. So make sure you subscribe, like the video, and drop a comment down below. I'm going to catch you on the next one.